Hello, everyone. Today we have Costa Creative. They're a social media management company. Super excited to have them on here. So they manage multiple accounts, multiple big companies, and they bring an aspect to our business that a lot of us lack, which is social media management. So I'll bring them on now. And we have Savannah and Valerie. Hey. So, can you guys quickly just introduce yourselves, give us a little bit of background and how your company got started?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
sure.
I'm Savannah. There you go. I'm Savannah, and I'm one half of Costa Creative Company. So, a little bit about how we got started is that we were actually sitting in front of a McDonald's, wild story, and we were chatting about our future and what direction we wanted to go. And as I studied graphic design in school, and Valerie did marketing, and I'll let her talk about that. But we decided let's do a company together and see what we can do as a team with both of our
Our
different
different
skills.
skills.
Yes.
Yes.
I
I
feel
feel
like fun.
yeah, I
For
for myself.
I'm
I'm
the
the
content
content
and
and
I,
you know,
you know,
in the
in the
beginning,
beginning,
start from
start
there.
from there.
We
We,
I
I
wanted to
wanted to
start
start
business,
business,
and
and
then
then
like
I
I
being
Savannah
Savannah,
got
I
started
started
with
with
graphic
graphic
design.
design.
So
So
then,
then,
what
what?
I
If
did
you
more online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
Mario,
Mario,
you're
you're
echoing.
echoing.
I'm
Your
echoing?
mic.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
there we go. I hear myself so much. Couldn't concentrate. But anyway,
Um,
there we go. Since Savannah had just graduated with graphic design, I was in the process of getting married. So I was like, let's do our digital, like create a digital marketing company since like both our skills, like tie in together. So that's what we did. And now we're here almost a year later, which we're really happy for 1 year. But yeah, so what we do is we're a digital marketing company and we help businesses bring power to their brand through social media management, graphic design, branding, printing services, and you can see all our services in our website at costacreativecompany.com.
So, I mean, we'll get right to it, right? When I coach our real estate agents and our loan originators, one of the very first things that I have them do is create their or begin to create their online presence. Right? Have them go on Instagram, have them go on Facebook, create a Facebook business page, and LinkedIn. Can you guys do you guys suggest any others, or are there any first steps that you guys suggest for new agents, new companies or companies that maybe want to get started in social media but don't know how to or where to start?
Yeah, for sure. The ones you mentioned, awesome, right? So when like we were looking things up, you have to figure out who your target audience is before you jump on any platform. So like for realtors, their target audience is really on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So those platforms that you mentioned are a great starting point to figure out, okay, is my audience on these platforms? How can I utilize these platforms to really just take the most advantage and reach my audience in a way that they're going to see it. So I would say that is like step one for any new realtor coming in is, okay, who is my target audience? And then like, where are they online?
Yeah, and demographics play a big role, right, in the platform or determining the platform that you guys or businesses want to market in. Like the one that I try to stay as active as possible is on YouTube and then also on Facebook. I have a lot of hurdles and when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, and things like that. Do you guys manage those platforms as well?
Yeah, we manage all the platforms. So we're not doing YouTube completely. We do know how to do the graphic for like the what's it called?
Is that like the title slate, like those?
All of that, like we do that for the graphics, but like editing videos and like all that sense, we don't really do that, but we do manage like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, like all the platforms that you can think of. But yeah, and we also create the graphics for them if needed.
how much content are you guys? Let's say I'm a new agent, I'm a new loan originator. We sat down, we determined our target audience, right? We know, let's say speaking from a mortgage broker, loan originator, I have a specific target audience, which is, or maybe two, right? I have my realtors; that's my number one target audience, and then number two, I have the buyers, right, or owners who may want to refinance. So once we determined my target audience, what's the next step, and how much content are you guys creating for that versus how much am I supposed to create for that?
Yeah, I would say like next step for sure is coming up with that strategy. So now we figured out, okay, this is who you're targeting. We know where they are. So then what messages are they wanting to hear? What do you want them to know about from either your company or what you're doing? So figuring out that strategy is key before even building any content out, because you don't want to waste your time building content that doesn't resonate with your audience. So it's coming up with that strategy. Okay, what's something that we can be consistent on? What are things? Maybe we offer new, like we showcase new listings. Maybe we showcase our employees so they can build trust online with these clients who are checking us out. So you come up with those strategies and then you start building content. And Val, you can talk a little bit more about content and kind of just like our process on how we advise our clients.
Yeah. So I would say strategy is like a big part of social media. You can be creative all you want, but if you don't have a strategy plan for your post, then you're most likely going to be posting content that doesn't really resonate with your audience. So strategy really helps you have purpose behind your content, and it helps you create content that sparks your audience's attention. So how we go about it is we definitely determine your target audience and where they're what platforms are they using? So are they on LinkedIn? Are you looking for a more professional audience, or are you looking for a younger audience, which is on Instagram or Facebook? So it definitely depends on like what your target is for us to be able to create that content. And yes, you can post consistent, because that is one of the things that we say, like, oh, you need to be consistent to be able to post. But going back to the strategy, like you need to have strategy so you can build consistency, and that way you're posting and people are not just like disregarding your post. Like they'll be seeing that.
Yeah, like relevant posts, right? Like I
Exactly.
always I try to coach our my loan originators to post things that add value,
Hmm.
not necessarily like hey, here's me at another closing. That does my opinion, that does nothing good or doesn't add value to anyone. But if we create a strategy where, let's say, for the next month we're going to target only investors, I want to reach out to people that already own a property. Maybe they're looking to buy another property, maybe an Airbnb, second home, and so forth. Once we have that target audience, we have a vague strategy per se. Now I can post most of my content, or 90% of my content is going to be driven towards that specific target. So strategy and consistency is probably the number one, in my opinion, to have a successful marketing campaign. Now, when you guys say strategy, what exactly is in that strategy, and how do you determine it? How do you come about?
Yeah. So when we work with our clients, and like just like you mentioned, you have a target in mind. You're like, okay, who am I trying to reach? So what we do is we help define what that can look like throughout the month in post. So we help our clients gain that consistency to be able to showcase, okay, this is the message I'm trying to send to this specific group. So a way we go about that is we brainstorm, right? I think every good strategy session starts with brainstorming. Okay, what are some ideas? Where are investors? What are investors looking for, if that's who you're targeting? We jot down everything we can think of, right? Like, okay, maybe they're local in this area. Maybe we're trying to target them because they go to XYZ events, or whatever it may be. You then start creating posts. You're like, I think it would be helpful if investors knew this. And so then you're like, I'm going to create a series of posts that answers these questions that investors typically have. So then you start coming up with ideas like that. What can I do, like repetitive? Repeated? Sure. What can I do often? So that way your audience becomes familiar, and then you start reaching out to those people you are targeting, if it's investors or
Yeah,
anything.
and it goes back to perfecting the sales funnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that strategy also goes or will be or can be implemented towards, like, for example, if a realtor or loan officer gets a, buys online leads, that sales funnel needs to that process needs to be really good in place, so that we're capturing as many of those online leads as possible. And that goes back to strategy. If we don't have a good strategy behind, or a good process behind our marketing campaign, we're just kind of randomly posting with no with no results, right? We have to be able to measure it. We have to be able to track results, see what's working. And once we find the formula that works, and that it's not the same for everyone. I always tell my agents, it's not the same for everyone. What may work for, John may not work for Tom. So in your experience, what has been the best platform or the best type of marketing to for realtors or loan officers to market on?
We really believe LinkedIn maybe is one of the best platforms, with also Instagram or Facebook, because I think the audience that they need, like realtors and originators or operators, uh, their target is in those platforms. So I do believe that then Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are like one of the biggest platforms out there that they can be on and start promoting themselves.
Yeah, and all three of those are different types of audiences that can still work. So on Facebook, for instance, you can actually post listings. You can use Facebook Marketplace. So Facebook has a different kind of strategy within it. Whereas LinkedIn, you're building connections, you're growing your network. So that's a more professional, maybe an older demographic on there. And then Instagram, you're going to find those maybe newer couples, more millennials, maybe somebody looking for a first time home. So you have to think of who your audience is still, but all three of those platforms have different purposes that can definitely work for what your strategy is.
I couldn't agree more. And it takes me back, or I go back to kind of thinking the biggest hurdle, or the most problems that our agents and LOs have is that very first post, creating, like, they almost seem to always get in, like, they can't get out of that first, second, and third post and consistently start posting with a strategy. And sometimes I just tell them, just post something.
Yeah.
We'll make it good later. It doesn't have to be good right now. But I think creating that consistency and getting over the fear of posting something that maybe no one likes, it gives you zero results. Hey, we took a step in the right direction. At least you started posting something. Now, my biggest hurdle is just posting, period. And one of the things that we're going to work on is creating a marketing schedule for our post, right? And from there we'll be able to determine how, like, flyers versus videos versus some kind of like interview or podcast or maybe industry news. And some of the stats that you guys sent over to us, to me, that I was reviewing earlier, it's like 77% of like realtors are on social media. That's one of my target audience. I have to be on social media if I'm going to increase my business X amount. It makes absolute sense for me to, number one, exhaust all of the free options that I have, right? So LinkedIn, I have Facebook, Instagram, and then from there maybe I can think about buying leads or paying for leads and so forth. And again, it goes back to coaching my LOs and our realtors. Is they always want to jump forward to buy leads from online sources. And I tell them, I ask them, what is your process? If a lead comes in and your phone rings, what's next? More often than not, it's like nothing. I answer, and if you don't answer, nothing happens. And what happens if, what's the callback process? What's the follow-up process? And, we have to keep in mind, most of these leads that come from online, they're already searching online. So if you don't have an online presence, you're done. You're not going to retain that lead. Right.
Yeah,
So
that is so true. It's like
building an online presence is of
Mhm.
the utmost importance if you're going to market online. It's different if you do, flyers and print materials. But, other than, is there anything else that realtors and LOs should be on other than Instagram and LinkedIn, like in terms of must haves?
Yeah, I would say for those two are like definitely the top, and still depending on who they're targeting and maybe what they like to do. They could even jump on TikTok or Instagram, create fun videos. Really, I think that's more of a choice that they would make. Maybe that's something they enjoy to do. That could also help, but definitely that could be an extra.
Hmm. And also another thing that, oh, I don't, did we lose her? Oh, I can't hear you.
She dropped off. No worries. She's coming back on.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. Another thing that when we were doing our research that we were talking about is that, wait, I hear an echo. There we go. I don't know where it was. Oh, yes. Something that they should do is that they shouldn't have their business and their personal account merged, because that really hurts them. So realtors or any business owner in general. So I think that if they do have like a Instagram or a platform just related to their business, I think that's like the way to go instead of merging both of them.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I get some conflicting advice on that. There are some social media personalities or media content creators that say that posting personal stuff on your business account makes you look or feel real or human, right? It's not like you're always posting about mortgages. It's not like you're always posting about houses. A picture of a dog every now and then would be nice.
Yeah, I
But
definitely think it goes back to strategy, and not that it's a bad thing to post about your personal life. I think it's how you do it. So, like, will your audience really care? And if sounds horrible, really care if like your dog turns 3 years old? They totally might. But maybe that's not a full blown post. For instance, on Instagram, they have an option of Instagram stories. Instagram stories is a great way to showcase your personal life without it taking space on your feed. And just like LinkedIn is purely for business. You really, it's not a platform for personal updates like maybe a Facebook would be. So I think it's about balance and how you can point it back to what you do. If you're having a birthday, you can be like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm celebrating with my family, and I'm just grateful for my business, XYZ, whatever. So I think it has to point back to what you do, and it can be there, but tastefully.
Right. Yeah.
so give me like your top maybe 3 or 5 actions that every new realtor or any realtor or loan originator that wants to expand and grow their business needs to take immediately on social media.
Yeah. Well, I think you had said it earlier. The first thing is start posting, right? I think there's a debate online between quality and quantity, right? It's like should we really focus on like the perfection of a post, how it looks, or should we just get as many posts out as possible? And honestly, a lot of the times the quantity rules over quality. So it's just like get things out there, refine later, as like just get in the habit of posting, right? Whether it's twice a week or twice a month, you're going to see the difference. So it's just getting in that habit of start posting, start getting ideas and see what your audience likes, and you'll figure that out as you post.
Yeah, and it's good to start posting because you can determine your analytics
Mhm.
faster. If you don't post anything, people will go on your page, or like people won't go on your page because you're not posting. But once you start posting, you start seeing, okay, this post got so many likes. This is what my audience likes, and this didn't get that many likes, so this is not really that interesting to them. So you can get like a feel of like what to post and what not to post.
Yeah. And I would say like another thing to do is start batching content. So it goes back to posting, right? A part of posting consistently is being able to have stuff to post. So batching content would be awesome. Like once you come up with ideas, take a day, do all your filming, do all your editing, do all your writing of your captions, everything. I would say like if somebody's trying to get started, then just batch content and then chuck it all out. Use a scheduling system. Some apps that we use, which I know we're gonna talk about later, but some apps that we use that we like is a scheduling software called Later. It's just you have like a free trial of like 3 platforms, which if you're doing it yourself, you don't need to the even paid version. So it's called Later, and you can schedule your posts like super far in advance. So you have no excuse.
Yeah.
No, you are still muted.
You mean
So I have start posting, batch your content, and number three, I'd probably add number three. I'd say just pick one platform and stick to it. That
Yeah.
way, it doesn't get overwhelming where you're trying to figure out the audience on Facebook versus Instagram versus X, and then all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed and you go back to doing nothing. You posted once and that was it. So I would say those top three things are a must do, must have. And I want to go back to the batching content. Let's say, we pick one day out of the week or every 2 weeks, we record a bunch of content, we do a bunch of open house walkthroughs, etc. Are we now, or is the agent now having to cut or edit that and send it to you for you guys to, kind of process and start posting? Or is the editing done on your end?
Yeah, so editing would be like depending on the quality and who's filming. Would the videos can come to us and we would edit them, we chop them up, we'd be able to make multiple posts from like a day like that for sure. One of our clients, he has a videographer, so his videographer cuts things up. We just guide his videographer. We're like, hey, this is the footage, this is what we'd like. So we can work either way.
And we also like we can also schedule to go and take pictures for them, or record it, anything that they need, since it's like more like a personal. So, and we guide them through that whole process, like, oh yeah, this is good to post, or this is like not like great, so
I'm sure you have a do's and don'ts list of things to do on social media for videos or for recording and so forth. So let me hear some of your do's and don'ts on social media.
Yes, I think for me, like what I've seen a lot online is, I would say like if you're doing a business account, keep it professional. Don't bring in like maybe it obviously depends on what you do, but I would say don't bring in a lot of these maybe hot topics or things that are gonna probably piss off your audience, and maybe don't bring
Politics and religion.
yeah, exactly. Like, right. The big things we're not supposed to talk about. Like, I would say either do it tastefully, or maybe like if it doesn't relate to your business, why bring it up at all? So I would say like keeping it professional is like the main thing for like a do. Please do keep it professional.
yeah. And I would say definitely tying it to realtors and loan originators. I would say posting within your area. So for example, like use your actual listings that you have, like your houses that you're going to sell. Use them for your postings instead of using something, from like Hawaii and you're like in Miami and then you're like, what, because you don't want to confuse your audience either. And it makes it a lot more relatable because it's like your everyday and like what you actually do. So I think like keep it within your area, I would say.
Yeah, and going back to something you guys mentioned earlier, which is really important, quantity over quality. It's all about staying top of mind or first to mind in the client's or your audience's mind. But then right after first to mind or top of mind is relevancy. If we're in the South Florida market, I'm not posting anything from like Nebraska. Like it doesn't matter, right? It's not relevant to my my audience down here. So relevancy for sure. Market specific. I always tell our agents and our LOs, if you're going to post a beautiful picture of like a skyline or something like that, like make it about here. Like it's a beautiful Miami skyline. We don't need to start sure I love New York, but Miami's pretty awesome too. So market specific posts I think are phenomenal, especially if you want to focus on like the real estate side instead of like the mortgage side or something else. Market specific really matters. Us mortgage brokers, we're essentially licensed in all of Florida, so we don't have to be that specific. We have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to posts, because we can do a loan in Jacksonville or Tampa from here in South Florida. We don't have to be there. Real estate agents is a little bit different. They kind of have to be there to be able to do to do that transaction. So any other tips that you guys can think of, or for someone that wants to get started, someone that's not so tech savvy?
Yeah, I think something that I think a lot of people try to rely on is stock photos, and it just doesn't really connect with your audience. I would say even if you're not tech savvy, I think everybody knows how to pick up their phone and take a picture. So if you can take a picture of yourself or your clients or you in a maybe in an environment that is relevant to your business, I would say that goes much further than a stock photo of some random people that we all know is stock. So I would just say, like, don't be afraid to get in front of the camera and just take a quick selfie because it'll connect better with your audience.
Yeah, that was definitely my next point. I think keeping it personal, like people want to get to know you and they want to know who the person behind the camera is. And it's not just like a random stock person, it's you. So like make it more personal. Like you can do like a behind the scenes on your stories. So, they can see what your life looks like and what you do for your at work. So I think that definitely, keeping that in mind and resonating with your audience is important.
And there's a fine line between the business and your personal page, right? So you have to really, I would say, it comes with practice. The more content you put up, that line becomes a little bit clearer, where you know exactly where it's at. This is personal, this is business. I'm not crossing that line. All of my posts are mortgage related, real estate related. Every now and then maybe I'll show my dog, my cats, whatnot. But other than that, it's 95% all business. I think another nice trick that I kind of show my agents and our LOs is that the new agents that don't have a lot of listings, they don't have to actually have those listings to promote the office listings, right? So we can go under like our team or the office and so forth. As soon as they have a listing or a closing or X, that agent can take advantage of being part of their team or their office and show that property or show that mortgage product and say, this is new, this just came on the market, just sold, etc. And they don't actually have to have the business close on their file, right? It could be the team's file, it could be the office's file. So there's a lot of content out there for new agents to create that don't necessarily need to have that huge pipeline of business to be able to create the content.
Right? I agree.
So how do we reach you? How do our agents reach you? Can you guys give us your contact info, website, etc.?
Yeah, so we kept it pretty easy. We named everything the same. So our website is costacreativecompany.com and our email is costacreativecompany@gmail.com. And then, so you can email us. You can also call us. So everything on our website, it has our phone number, our email, all of it. And then our Instagram is Costa Creative Company. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much spending the time with us, coaching us, and giving us so many useful tips. Really, really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe. See you guys.
Thank you.